When I was in college, I had to take a class on studies. So my degree is in like family development, like child development. And I had to take a class on how to conduct and do studies. And when we're doing research papers, how do we get those studies and what do we use to support those research papers? And so you think, boring. But what I loved, and I've learned a ton from college, but this I loved, and it has remained like most in my mind, was so a research project we had was our teacher asked us to pick a side, pick a side in child development theory that you want, and you're going to prove that theory, or you're going to write a paper about that theory. And so you pick it, and they had us turn it in, and then he says, now you need to actually do the opposite. So whatever theory you had, he's like, I want you to actually now research and do everything to prove the opposite. And I loved that because it showed me that no matter what your theory or what your thesis statement is, you could find anything to support it, if that makes sense. And so here I was. I remember my topic, and for what it's worth, I had because I was going to be a stay-at-home mom, and I had already had Robbie. My original topic was the importance of mothers staying home and raising their children, the importance of that and why that's important, that a child is, during those very young ages. And so then I had to do a paper on why it was important for kids to go into childcare and have two working parents. And my point is I could write both papers. I could find research to support both sides. And that's always, 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 I loved that. And so my teacher pointed out, the whole point of this whole class was you got to be careful with what you read and what studies you read. And you got to look at how many participants were in this study, or how many, because some you could find a study to support your thesis that was like a study of, one community in a remote area that, or you can find one that was, longevity was the best thing for studies, like long periods of time. And, which is, rare, and, they have those, but it's very rare. It's hard to keep track of people, yada, yada, yada. And then another one was, you have to have a very wide sample. And so whenever now I look at, you see news articles, and I've talked about those to get clicks, and you look at those headlines. And so now whenever I read, well, there was a study, and especially if you're on the internet, it's easy to go and say, where did you get this information from? Where, what study, how many people were in this study, what period of time, all those things. And you realize that people can do statistics to say anything they want, legit, anything they want. And so it just changed how I look at statistics and how I look at, my husband's a finance person and he's an accountant. So which, numbers don't lie. The numbers say this, that, but he says there is, there's always way to skew numbers, and there's always way, when I say, well, what about this and what about that? And obviously business is a whole nother thing, but it just, that I've never, ever, ever forgotten that, because it was shocking to me again as, in college, when you're young and you're learning how people can make things make their plans look good or make something. They can find whatever they want to support it. And so, but my rule of thumb is that's why it's important to stay close to God, as silly as that sounds, or I guess it's not silly, is because He knows the end of the game. He knows the final score. And I guess if you don't believe in God, then, but I do. And I know He's real, and I know that the scriptures are real. And the predictions of the last days are real. And I'm so thankful for that knowledge. And it's not some old wise tale or some fable or something to keep people in check. It's not, I almost feel like today these studies are trying to keep people in check. Whereas if we just, we need to be able to discern between truth and error, right? Because there's so much out there. Who do we trust? And that's why I'm thankful, they call it your gut feeling, your, a mother's intuition. And I think mothers are the most Christ-like people on the planet. That they understand sacrifice. And so that's why mothers know. I'm not saying fathers don't, but, anybody who sacrifices so much for others, they're closer to the Spirit, because that's the most Christ-like you can be. That's the most, charity is the pure love of God. And so when you are helping others and you have charity, your intuition will be where it should be. And I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful that it can help me discern between what the world is telling me, what to believe, what not to believe. And I'm thankful for that. And I think that's how actually a lot of people are. I think we're all more alike than we really think. So have an absolutely, absolutely fabulous day. And think about that. Think about that. You're pretty good. You know what's right and you know what's wrong.